You're still on this person's mind. It hasn't faded. It hasn't cooled down. It hasn't died. Even if it seems far away, they just remembered you. It was just now. It was in a gesture, in a thought that slipped away. You have no idea the power that this memory holds. It comes back on its own. It doesn't need a reason. It doesn't need an excuse. You marked a place where no one else touched. And that's why it hurts. That's why it returns. This person tried to move on, tried to erase you like one tries to erase a scent from their skin. But remembering you didn't become a choice. It became an involuntary response. You're there, in the tender memories, at the wrong time on an ordinary day. You still create chaos, still provoke silence, still squeeze tight. And this will come out. Somehow it will come out. It will show in their gaze, in their words, in the way they avoid you. It will even escape in how they don't mention you. Because when someone tries to forget all the time, it's a sign that they can't stop remembering. Do you feel that? Have you noticed? Because it's going to overflow. You're still on this person's mind, much more than you think. And it's not a light memory, the kind that fades away. It's the kind that sticks to the part of the body that no one sees, to the part that thinks, to the part that disguises. You're still there, in the recurring thoughts, in the hidden memories, in that part of the soul that swears it has moved on, but keeps your name trapped in its throat. This person hasn't forgotten you. Not on days when they seemed cold. Not when they pretended not to see you. Not when they seemed busy, distant, or indifferent. It was just a way to not show how much remembering you hurts more than they admit. More than they can bear. More than they can manage inside. Some people pretend to be indifferent just to avoid falling back into what they feel. And this person is at that point, divided between not wanting to anymore and not being able to stop remembering. And what's worse, they remember the things you don't even realize you left behind. You made your mark in the details, in the small things, in the crooked hours. It marked when I pulled my hand away too quickly, when I looked and then pretended not to, when I went silent mid-sentence, when I said I was okay, and I wasn't. And that kind of memory doesn't fade with time, because it's not about what was said, it's about what was felt. And genuine feelings don't die, they just fall asleep. But now they are waking up, and this is about to slip away. This person is living as if they're fighting against their own mind, struggling not to remember, but tripping over it all the time. Tripping over you, tripping over how it was, tripping over what never ended. Have you noticed how they've disappeared, how they've become harder, drier, emptier? It's because remembering empties you when you try not to feel. They're trying to fill themselves with other things, other voices, other bodies, other commitments. But deep down, nothing fills the void. Because what was real can't be replaced, only avoided. And avoidance has a time frame, it has limits, it has a breaking point. You're close to seeing this happen, to seeing this silence turn into expression, to seeing this absence turn into an awkward, uncomfortable presence. But still, alive. It will escape in a look that's too long, in a random comment that seems innocent but carries your name, in a touch that's not physical but it's just as real, because the memory has already turned into action, and there's no way to stop it for much longer. This person will show signs, and maybe they won't even realize it, but you will notice, because those who were once a memory in someone else's life know when they're becoming a presence again. And here's what no one had the courage to tell you. You still disturb. You still knock the wind out of them. You still cause confusion. Because you were truth. And truth, when it runs deep, becomes a wound if not properly cared for. It becomes a void if not acknowledged. It becomes noise even in the middle of silence. This person remembers even what they wanted to forget. The day they almost said stay. Your soft voice. Your laughter that hid insecurity. The way you held the world trying to seem strong, but trembled inside. And remembering that weighs heavy. It weighs because it shows it wasn't just a phase, it wasn't an illusion. It wasn't a distraction. It was a connection. One of those that life doesn't repeat. And the heart knows. Even if the mind tries to erase it, you became an active memory, the kind that burns, the kind that provokes regret, the kind that changes the way you see everything that came after. And you feel it, don't you? There are days when out of nowhere you feel a weight, a strange fatigue, a longing you can't explain. It's not yours, it's hers, it's his. It's from the person trying to hide the strength of remembering you, and this sooner or later will come out. It will turn into an attempt to reach out. It will turn into a subtle hint. It will turn into an awkward approach. It will become a gesture that shouts everything the mouth can't say. And when it happens, you will understand. It wasn't your imagination. You were always there, at the back of the memory that never wanted to erase you. This person remembers you with details you don't even recall anymore, with sensations you didn't know you evoked, with a fondness that didn't go away. It just stayed quiet, hidden from everything, but not from within. And this is going to hurt them. It will be chaotic. It will turn into insomnia, dreams, distractions. It will become a memory that can no longer be held back. Because it's no longer just remembering. It's being overwhelmed by everything you represented. And then nothing else works. No one else fills the void. Nothing else soothes. You are still the missing piece, the presence that left, but never really did. The absence that fills more than any forced presence. And this person knows. Even if they pretend. Even if they don't say anything. Even if they don't have the courage to come back, they remember. And remembering hurts more than losing. Because losing is acceptance. But remembering is reliving. It's experiencing everything again without any place to run. And this is about to spiral out of control. The question isn't whether this person will reach out to you. The question is, when they stop resisting, will you be where? Are you willing to listen? Or are you trying to forget what's still yours inside? Because make no mistake, you remember too. You pretend that you don't, but you feel it. On the same frequency, in the same place, and maybe that's why you're still here. Reading this, feeling something you can't explain, but you know exactly what to call it. Remember, that's the word that has kept everything alive, without anyone noticing, without anyone saying a word. But you know, and now, it's overflowing. So feel it a little more, because from here on out there's no turning back. What was hidden has started to leak, and you've already noticed. It wasn't with words, it was with that inexplicable shiver, with that sudden urge to stare into nothingness, with that feeling of being remembered, even without being called. That's how it begins, when memory leaves the mind and becomes energy, when it starts to live between you even in silence, even without touch, even without a new name for it. This person feels you, not like a typical longing, not as a mental pastime, but as something that hasn't accepted the end, as a part that still beats, even when denied. You've become a recurring thought, a ghostly presence, a point of comparison. Everything that comes after passes through the filter of who you were, and no one can fill the space you once occupied. Do you know why? Because it wasn't about appearance, it was about sensation. It was a bond built in the details. It was emotional time. It was invisible surrender. You know what you caused, even if you tried to erase it too, even if you told yourself it was over. It wasn't, it never was, you just pushed it inside, but the body remembers, the soul remembers. The gaze reveals it even before you realize. And if you feel this memory burning in your chest, it's not because you're stuck in the past. It's because what was true remains active. This person hasn't freed themselves from your absence. They've just created mechanisms to endure it. They've created new routines, they've created distractions. They've created a way to pretend they don't feel what they feel. But all of this is crumbling, little by little, like a cracked wall, like an attempt that falls apart with every memory that surfaces. And you'll see, not in obvious gestures, but in the hesitation, in the delay to respond, in the sideways glance when your eyes meet, in how heavy the other's name feels. As if it means less than your silence. This person is in an emotional collapse. They just haven't verbalized it yet. But they will, because no one can hold back what wants to come out for too long. And what's to come isn't simple. It won't arrive as an apology or a logical justification. It will come as a strange presence, as a timid attempt, as a constant presence in the places where you are. As if by coincidence they were always where you tread. And this will confuse you, because it won't be straightforward. It will be felt. And those who truly feel understand what isn't said. You'll notice the difference in the tone, in the sudden care, in the disguised jealousy, in the desire to hear your voice for longer, even when there's no topic left. And if you're paying attention, you'll understand. It's not just about remembering. It's about not being able to live with the absence anymore. This person is about to give in, but they don't know how to do it without seeming weak, without seeming lost, without admitting how much they've lost themselves inside while pretending to be in control. You never left that place, and the remembering has turned into a prison. One of those where the person remembers your face in every stage, your way of reacting, your contained laughter, even the flaws, especially those, because what is real isn't remembered with a filter. It's remembered with the soul. And you were real, that's why you're still present, that's why you still echo. That's why when the name comes up, her heart races as if something is about to happen. You feel this, even when you try to ignore it, even when you pretend it's not about you. But you know because you remember too. And this kind of remembering creates a bridge, even in silence, even without plans, even without knowing what to do with it. You are still the name she keeps and avoids, the presence she tries to replace, but can't, because you've become the standard, you've become the reference, you've become the root, and roots aren't easily pulled up, especially when they've taken hold inside the heart. It's no longer just a phase, it's a cycle that wants to reopen, and it's just waiting for you to notice what has already begun to resonate. The memory is now on the outside, dripping in the form of longing, discomfort, contained desire. You'll see in the coming days. Someone trying to get close without it seeming like they are trying. Someone sending vague messages with the clearest intentions in the world. Someone asking about your life, but wanting to know if there's still space. And when that happens, you'll remember this message. Because you've always been there, you never left, you were never forgotten, you were held tightly, with fear, with pain. And now that can't be hidden anymore. You know when someone is trying to hide that they remember. You feel it. Not by what's said, but by what changes in the air, in the presence, in the way they avoid your name like someone brushing against a still painful place. There are people who don't say it, but the body reveals it. And this person has remembered so much that they can't disguise it any longer. They walk around distracted, but it's about you. They walk around irritated, but it's with themselves for not being able to stop carrying you inside. There are days they remember just for the sake of remembering. Others they feel as if they've gone back in time, as if the end hasn't happened yet. And when something goes wrong, when everything gets too quiet, when the routine weighs more than it should, it's you who returns. It's you who fills the space. Because you've become this, the memory that time cannot conquer, the emotional memory that no logic can resolve, the face that appears even with the eyes closed. And the cruelest part is this. She tried to forget, tried to fill the space with new stories, but the place where you stayed wouldn't accept substitutes. It rejected, it closed up. And now every time she tries to love again, it's you she remembers. Not for the good things, not just for those, but because it was real, it was imperfect, but it was whole. And what is whole is missed more when it's gone. You feel this because you're connected, not out of need, not out of attachment, but because something was left hanging. It wasn't resolved. It didn't have a true ending. And when something doesn't close within us, it becomes an emotional thorn. It becomes a ghostly presence. It becomes a memory that acts on its own. That person has dreamed of you more than once. Maybe they didn't tell you, but they woke up with your name stuck in their throat, with uneven breaths, with a regret too silent to be ignored. And this is no coincidence. It's a memory asking for space to return. It's a soul trying to correct what reason has destroyed. Do you feel this? Do you remember too? Even if you say you don't, even if you've moved on, even if you're with someone else or pretending you're okay, you feel it, because the type of connection that happened there doesn't disappear with time. It shifts, it hides, but it doesn't die. You're still in it, in the midst of the decisions she makes, in the midst of the comparisons she swears she doesn't make, in the fear she feels of starting to feel again. Because remembering you is dangerous. It's opening the door to everything she tried to lock away. It's risking falling back into a place she barely got up from. But you know what's stronger than fear? The memory. Because it insists even when it's unwelcome. It comes back even when we try to send it away, and now it's starting to seep through the cracks, in little actions, small lapses of attention, poorly explained silences. She might even be with someone else, she might post pictures, smile, seem at peace, but you know that social media doesn't show what's inside. It doesn't show the insomnia, the tears that went without a caption, the heaviness of remembering you after a whole day pretending it doesn't matter anymore. You're still the one who stirs the most, the one who shakes things up, the one who affects her the most, and she hates that, because she wanted to have moved on. She wanted to erase you from her skin, from her memory, from her routine. But some things just don't go away, and you were that. You stayed, even when everything said it was supposed to end. There's no way to pretend you don't remember what was lived, because it wasn't superficial, and you know that, you feel it. There are days when your own mind sabotages you. It recalls old conversations, longer than usual glances, messages you reread just to feel it again. And then you realize that wasn't ordinary, it was yours, it was hers. It was you two. And that's why it still exists, not as a relationship, but as an active energy between two bodies that can't let go of what remains. And you can try to deny it. You can call it nostalgia. You can pretend it's just a memory. But deep down, you know it's not just that. It's unresolved longing. It's a feeling that still beats. It's a connection that time hasn't closed. And that person feels the same way. On the other side, in the silence, in the heavy absence, in the failed attempt to move on, remembering you has become a habit she didn't want to have. But she does. And the more she tries to fight it, the more your name comes back, the more your face appears, the more her body reacts as if you were close. That's what's happening right now. You feel it because the memory created space between you, and that space started to scream. Don't be fooled. This isn't about neediness. It's not a lack of options. It's a memory that's turned into motion, into a desire that won't accept being ignored. And when she comes back, because she will come back, she won't know how to say it. She won't come ready. She won't come clear. She'll come in pieces, in hesitation, in subtle signs that only you will understand, because only those who felt what you both felt know how to translate the unspoken. And then it will be up to you to decide what to do with this disguised return, with this memory that has now taken form and is about to knock on your door. But for now, you've already noticed. You've already felt. You're still there. At the center of the memory she tried hardest to erase, and that keeps insisting on coming back. Remembering you has been her weak point, and maybe now it's yours too. If this touched you, share it. Comment on how you felt. Leave a like and subscribe here.